I don't care what it is that you're trying to improve upon, it's going to require time and space. And so when I got clarity on what I wanted, I got time and I got space. I got the things that I needed in order to be able to get results in those areas. All right, you guys, welcome back to the More Than Medicine podcast with Dr. Brad. And today we're going to be talking about time. If you ever felt like you have a lack of time, there's just not enough time in your schedule, you got too much going on, you're too busy, you're trying to work as a doctor, you may or may not have a side business, but you have other responsibilities personally as a spouse, as a parent, maybe you serve at church, maybe you have just a long list of things and you're just like, you know what, I don't have time to commit to the things that you want to do. Maybe you want to start something else. Maybe you want to follow a passion, but you just don't have the time. Maybe you want to work out more, but you just don't have the time. Maybe you want to devote more time to your faith, but you feel like you just don't have the time. Today is the podcast for you. This episode is the podcast for you. And make sure you share this with another physician so that it can bless them as well and help them just get the tools that they need really in order to be able to get more time. And so, I get it, right? This is why I made this podcast, because I want to talk about those things that we all are challenged with. One of those things is time. We're very busy. Okay. And, we devote so much time to our work that unfortunately, sometimes it comes at a sacrifice of other things. And so we don't have time. And so, we feel tired because we work so many hours and devote so much effort to clinical medicine. We feel overwhelmed because even just in our work alone, we feel overwhelmed, right? But when you add what we do for work along with the responsibilities that we have at home, along with our, personal responsibility to try to maintain our health and fitness, it just seems like it's too much and we seem overwhelmed. We get stressed sometimes just thinking about it. We feel like there's not enough time in the day or the week to get it all done. As a matter of fact, it feels like I'm working as hard as I possibly can. And despite the fact that I'm working this hard, I feel like not a whole lot is getting done. And I feel like I'm kind of spinning my wheels, stuck in the mud, like on a hamster wheel, running really fast, but feeling like you're not getting anywhere. I get it. And unfortunately, what that kind of turns into for us is in several different areas, like in our health, we're out of shape, we're overweight, we're sluggish, we don't have a lot of energy. That ends up turning into a lack of time with our family, lack of time with our spouses, so our relationships suffer, lack of time with friends. That turns into a lack of time in our faith, not spending the time with God like we like to, not praying, not doing those things that we know are important, but we're just not putting any intention or maybe not a whole lot of effort toward. We're not committing as much time to our wealth building and, our future finances, our current finances, really paying enough attention to that. And for some of us, even though we may have a passion or we're unfulfilled with, our role in clinical medicine, and we're not having the fulfillment and impact as we like to, and we feel like, yes, there's something else out there for me, but how in the world am I going to try to pursue something else when I don't have enough time to do the work that I'm currently doing and everything else that I have, right? So ultimately, we feel like this is not what I signed up for. Like my career should not come at the cost of all of this stuff. My career should not come at the cost of my family, should not come at the cost of my faith. It should not come at the cost of my fitness. It should not come at the cost of my finances. It should not come at the cost of my future, meaning that thing that I ultimately want to do, that passion or that purpose that I want to pursue. Medicine shouldn't be stealing my life away, in essence. If that's how you feel, listen, man, I get it. I don't just say man talking to men. I mean, I just kind of, it's kind of just a phrase, but man and woman, I get it. Okay. And that's my story. I felt like at one point, my career as a physician was coming at too great of a cost, right? I was a busy doctor. I was a busy husband, busy father with no time. Felt like I had no time. That turned into my health not being optimized. That turned into my finances not being where I wanted them to be, or not just paying enough attention and consistency toward it. My relationship suffered. I wasn't the best husband I could be. My relationship was just going through the motions with my wife. My kids are missing me. I'm not spending the time that I liked, that I wanted to with them. And ultimately, I'm feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, thinking like, how did I get here? This is actually where I wanted to go. This is where I wanted to get, at least career-wise, but everything else is like, this is all coming at my career is coming at way too great of a cost. And so I understand, I get it. That's where I was. And, at the time I had this thought, I had this mentality that the reason I can't do these things that I want to do, right? Like the reason why I can't commit more time to my fitness, the reason why I can't commit more time to my family or my faith or my finances, the reason why I can't go and pursue this purpose or passion, because I barely have enough time to think. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time on my schedule. That was my mentality. That was what I thought. That was how I felt. And if that's how you feel right now, listen, I get it. But I have something that I want you to understand in today's episode is that, believe it or not, a lack of time is actually not the problem. This is a big aha moment for me. Once I came to the conclusion that it wasn't a lack of time that was the problem, it was a lack of clarity that was my problem. It was a lack of clarity on several different things that I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to highlight real quick. I had a lack of clarity. Ultimately, I had a lack of clarity on what I wanted in each of these different areas of my life. In my health, in my wealth, in my relationships. There was not a whole lot of direction. Like I was moving, right? And many of us are moving. But there's a difference between moving and moving in a direction, knowing where we're going. And for many of us, it feels better just to be moving, and we feel like we're doing something because we're moving. But it's kind of like someone who can run and run real fast. But the question is, are you running in the right direction? See, no different than a track athlete who could be running in the wrong direction, or any kind of athlete like a football player. If they're running in the wrong direction, they can be real fast. They can be doing a whole lot of movement. But if they're not running in the wrong direction, if they're running toward the wrong touchdown or end zone, then it's not really benefiting them. If the track athlete is running in the wrong lane or running in the wrong direction, doesn't matter how fast they run. I feel many of us, we're moving fast, we're doing a whole lot, but we just may be not running in the right direction because we don't have clarity on where we are going to give us direction in addition to the movement. So we need to be moving, but we need to make sure that we're clear on the direction that we're moving in each of these aspects of our life. And so once I started getting clarity on what I wanted each of these areas of my life to look like, and not compromising that and thinking, well, you know what, I guess this is just how it's supposed to be since I'm a doctor. I guess it's just supposed to, like my career is supposed to just come at a cost of all these things. No, it's not supposed to. Even though most of us our career may be coming at the cost of too much, it doesn't have to be that way. So we got to get real intentional. But once I got real clear on what I wanted, how I wanted these areas of my life to look like, time was the ultimate result. As a matter of fact, the ultimate result was results. the results that I was looking for in each of these areas of my life. Because check this out. If you want to experience change and transformation in any area of your life, you're going to have to commit time. There's going to have to be time and space committed to it. And when I mean space, I mean like space on your calendar, sometimes physical space, right? I mean, if you're going to have results in anything, you're going to have to commit time and space. In your health, you're going to have to commit some time, and you're going to have a space to do that, whether it's at home or at a gym. You're going to have space in your calendar to do that. Relationships, you're going to have to commit time in those relationships with the spouse or with the kids or with the friends, and space in your calendar to be able to do that. In your wealth, you're going to have to commit time to maybe learning something new, time to talk to the financial planner, and space on your calendar. I don't care what it is that you're trying to improve upon, it's going to require time and space. And so when I got clarity on what I wanted, I got time and I got space. I got the things that I needed in order to be able to get results in those areas. And so with that clarity came three things. It came 3 C's: cut off. I was able to cut off all of the things that was on my calendar that were inconsistent with the goals that I was trying to go toward. So with clarity of what I wanted, I was able to see what I didn't want and what didn't fit, that wasn't consistent with my goals. Right? Started realizing that a lot of stuff that's on my calendar is really stuff that was just filling the gaps of time. But it wasn't intentional in terms of being consistent with where I was trying to go, either in my health or my wealth or my finances, right? Or my relationships. So it gave me the ability to cut off things. I was able to cut the fat, and with cutting the fat came time. The other thing I got with clarity was I gained confidence. I gained confidence that, you know what, I can do this because I now have the space and time to do it. And not only do I have the space and time to do it, but I have clarity on where I'm going. So it gave me confidence. It gave me this sense of power, the sense I have, you know what, do have some control over my life. So it gave me confidence. And then the last thing to do is it gave me capacity. It gave me the capacity to do more. It expanded my ability to do more because, again, I have time to do it. I've created space to it. And so it gave me the capacity to succeed in these different areas of life. So I'm going to give you 3 things that you need to get clarity in. There's 3 things that you need to get clarity in each of these different areas of your life. And in my book, Elite, A Modern Success Guide to Purpose and Peak Performance, I talk about the 7 pillars of peak performance. It's your health, your wealth, your career, your calling, your faith, and your how many is that? I think that's 6. I can't remember. But for sake of this episode, there's 7 areas that you really want to do this for. Okay, these are basically different, several different areas of your life. But to keep it simple, just to keep it simple for this podcast: health, wealth, relationships. Okay, health, wealth, relationships. You need to get clarity in 3 things in your health, wealth, and relationships. So first thing you need clarity of what you want. That's perspective. You need clarity of what you want. What do you want? What do you want in your health? What do you want for your wealth? What do you want for your relationships? What do you want? If you ever listened to my content before I started More Than Medicine, it's something that I'm always asking, and you'll probably hear me continue to ask is, what do you want? What do you want? We got to get clear on it. What do you want? And I don't want to know what you want that sounds good or that sounds reasonable. I want to know what you want. If we're going to live life and really get like what we want, not what we just think is kind of realistic. I don't want to know what's realistic. I want to know what you want. So you got to get clear on what you want. That's perspective. Second thing you got to do is you got to get clear on why you want it. That's purpose. And I don't mean your purpose, like your unique purpose, what I call your stamp, your solution to a meaningful problem. I don't mean get clear on your purpose. Yes, you need to get clear on what your individual purpose/stamp is. But what I'm talking about is being purposeful. Like, why do you want what you want? Yes, you want something, but why do you want what you want? Because you got to get clear on that too. Because when things get hard, you got to understand again, like, why am I doing this again? Why am I going after this? Why is this important to me? Being able to separate, do I want this selfishly for me, or do I want to serve other people? That's something we can talk about on a whole nother podcast. So it's something completely different. Ultimately, you want your goals to be selfless, because oftentimes we will let ourselves down way before we want to let somebody else down. But even still, you got to at least start off by just figuring out, why do I want it? So why do you want it? Right? That's the purpose. So the first thing is perspective, clarity of what you want. Second thing is clarity of why you want it. Third is clarity of how to go about it. Clarity of how are you going to go about getting the thing that you initially said you wanted. That's process. So it's perspective, purpose, and process. Those are things you got to get clear on for each of these areas of your life. Right? So for me, there's certain goals that I created in my health. It was based on what I wanted. It was based on what I wanted. When I got clear on how I wanted my health to look, on the goals, on my fitness numbers, what that allowed me to do was to see, okay, well then if there are tasks on my calendar that don't fit with this, they need to leave. Once I got clear in my relationships, how I wanted my relationship to be with my wife and my kids, once I figured out what I wanted, then I looked at my calendar and was like, well, if things aren't consistent, if I have things on my calendar that aren't consistent with helping me try to get there, well, they gotta go. Right? In my wealth, when I got clear on what I wanted in my health, my wealth, and my relationships, the things that the tasks on my calendar that did not fit that, the football game, right? The basketball game, the social media time, whatever the case may be, that stuff had to start getting cut out. That's when I started to have to, like I said before, cut the fat. With that, I found time on my calendar, because those things that were on my calendar just wasn't consistent with where I wanted to go with my health. It wasn't consistent with where I wanted to go on my wealth. It wasn't consistent with how I wanted my relationships to look. And when I cut it out, I was able to get time where I could start to implement the process of tasks on my calendar that would actually allow me to be able to get to where I wanted to go. So for us, it's not necessarily a matter of time. We got to get crystal clear so that we can cut the fat, get some confidence, and then gain the capacity that we need to start putting those things in place, those processes and tasks on our calendar that will be consistent with where we want to go in our health, in our wealth, in our relationships. So I want you to imagine what it would be like to start putting those things on the calendar consistently that will improve your health, to start working out consistently during the week. It may be hard to see that right now, but I want you to imagine that. I want you to imagine what it looks like to be able to lose the weight, to be able to have more energy, to be able to sleep better, to be able to have less stress, because you have the things on the calendar that are allowing you to kind of fill your cup. Your health is better. Your relationships are better because you're committing time and space toward it. You got time and space now to commit to the relationship, to commit to the family. I want you to imagine what the wealth looks like because you've got some consistent attention going toward that. I want you to think about what it would feel like to pursue that thing that you've always wanted to do. I want you to imagine what it would feel like to actually pursue that passion. If you feel stuck and unfulfilled, like your work in clinical medicine is just not as fulfilling, you're going to need time to pursue the purpose, to pursue the passion. Imagine what it would feel like to have more impact, more income, more influence, because you now have the time to pursue that thing. You need time and space that is very intentional to be able to live the life that you want to live. And it's possible, but you got to get clear first. Time is not the problem. Clarity is the problem. And once you get clarity, I just want you to imagine what that would feel like to get healthy, to get the wealth where you want it, so the relationships feel better, right? Because of this, man, I didn't realize how unclear I was, and I didn't realize how good life would be once I did this. Listen, as a result of me getting clear, dude, relationship between my wife and I, extraordinary. Relationship with my kids is more consistent, right? My health is consistent. I've got a process for my health. I've got a process for my wealth. I've got a process for my relationships. And as a result of as a result of the clarity, now getting time and space to put towards each of these things, there are results on the other side that are just priceless. Priceless. Health, wealth, and relationships are better than I would have ever imagined had I not gotten the clarity on that before. Time is not the problem, you guys. It is clarity, okay? I just simply want you to experience what I'm experiencing now, okay? So, moving from here on out, I just want you to get clarity. And the main thing I want you to understand from here is that time is not the problem. It's time to get clarity.